Hopefully so. It's time to show it if he does. It is going to be in the top left-hand corner of the map. The red Protoss player. This is SKillous. From Team Liquid, of course.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right side, the Polish Wunderkind. He's looking fantastic with some weird builds in PvZ. Let's see what he's got for us in PvP. It's Krystianer. So I used to always, by the way, say, Wardy, Krystiania. I had this weird way of saying it, and everyone told me off. So I started saying Krystianer, because that's what people told me it's meant to be, just Krystianer. And then yesterday we were saying, whoa, Pig's saying it wrong. So has anyone ever asked him how it's meant to be said? Do you know, or is it just kind of habit? Everyone calls him Krystianer, is kind of what you say, right?
Yeah, I guess. Oh God, I'm gonna overthink it now. I guess I say Krystianer. So like Anna at the end.
Krystianer, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess that is
but I mean, Krystianer would kind of make sense of all of Krystianer. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're close enough, no?
I don't know what the backstory is. He's like, I'm just really religious. I love the Christian faith. It is what. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'll have to ask him when I see him next. But anyways, it is. I'll go Krystianer. I'll go with that's. So we should sync up on our pronunciations when we can, right? I except for the weird way you and all the other casters say Alcyon. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about Zombie Grub about that when we were at Katowice, and she's like, "Yeah, no, I looked it up. That's how it is." And I was like, "That's interesting," because I googled it and I never heard your pronunciation ever. And she said, "Yeah, no, it's just the Google pronunciation." And we went on Google, and it showed up my pronunciation instead, or not. It didn't show either actually, but it didn't show her one. And I was like, and she's like, "This is what came up last time when I searched for this," and I was like, "It's changed then." So anyway, there's conspiracies out there. It's hard to pronounce words, and it wasn't. Just because we were in different areas of the world, because yeah, it came up with just different search results at different times. Anyways, long story short, words that aren't normal English words are going to get pronounced weird. It keeps shouting at me for calling him Jaishi. I still haven't heard anyone actually tell me the correct way to pronounce it. And don't worry, we'll be bringing back Jagannatha at some point for the legacy map pool. Don't worry.
Oh, Jagannatha was a great one. Because some people were like, Jagannatha, like, yep. Oh, there was everything for that pronunciation, wasn't there?
Some people tried to use the proper pronunciation as well. It's the kind of like Juggernaut.
Yeah, get out.
People are slipping into like an Indian accent and stuff as they're saying, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, come on, guys. Like, I understand my limitations, you know.
Look,
I can't even say Clem's name properly without feeling like I'm not being Australian. I'm like, Clement? Like, what? Clement? Like, I'm like, no, that sounds a bit too excited. You know what I mean? It just sounds a bit. I'm like, no, I've got to be Clement. You know, I've got to butcher his name. Sorry, guys.
Look, I see 4 syllables. I will say 4 syllables. So I will just stand by that. As this game is obviously expansion piece. It's a faster Stargate from SKillous, and he is going to have himself an Oracle, but his opponent Krystianer is going to be building into that Phoenix straight away. So something to jump on top of the Oracle with. Already the Twilight Council now on the way as well from SKillous, though, so you will have follow-up tech beyond this as well. So we get that set to go, and we see where this will head.
Yeah, he knows it's going to be double Oracle as well. Here comes the Adept Oracle. Adepts come into the natural already. 2 probes have gone down, so it's a good start so far for SKillous, and he's going to try and lure him to the low ground and have the Oracle go in the main base. Stalker on its own.
Yeah, he's going to just go fight the Stalker, so Stalker will go down. The other Stalker's in the main. Now the Phoenix is here. This Oracle needs to decide what it wants to do. The Phoenix is in range of it, so you either recall it or you let it die. Looks as though we're going to let this one die, but if you bait this Phoenix up the right side, I was going to say, then you can show up with the other Oracle, but the other Oracle is also going the way the Phoenix was. He's kind of lucky he doesn't get it run into, so yeah, scary moment there.
It kind of looked like, you know, the classic Hollywood thing where, like, there's an obstacle on the road, so the woman driving screams and drives towards it, you know, while putting her foot on the gas. And you're like, I don't know if that's how people normally react when they see obstacles or wild animals on the road, Hollywood. But anyways, Oracle does come in. Luckily, the Oracle did not get found, and it finds a big opening again. Great start for SKillous. I mean, he's losing a lot of units, so it's not free damage. He's got to be ready for the counterattack, but yeah, it's pretty damn good. 5 probes, 6. I mean, he's not going to recall this, I don't think, so would have liked to see him just kill a few more there, you know? It's a one-way trip either way.
Yeah, there's no escape, so just, yeah. Even if you just get one more, even if you don't, like, what difference would it have made there? As the Dark Shrine comes down, now that you've killed both Oracles into the Dark Shrine is pretty smart because you've removed the current available detection, so Krystianer's current choice is making a whole lot of sense. Yeah.
DT Shrine makes it's just perfect. I think if you're always just thinking about, you know, that's something you have to think about in PvP is when is DT is good, and this is the perfect time. Yeah, as you said, you know, you kill both Oracles. It's just hard to be ready for this. That being said, Skillous, is he thinking about this? Because there's got to be that part of your brain that goes, okay, I lost my Oracles. Like, you know, there is a weakness. If you drop the Robo now, you're still okay. But if you don't drop it in the next 10, 20 seconds, things can go very badly.
That is very true. I mean, we got a Forge on the way, but that's not really a guaranteed kind of defense. There's the Robo now. So it's going to be kind of close. Obviously, it depends how quickly you build up the orbs, where the DTs come in from. I guess if it's from the top right, they're not going to be super fast DTs. Slow warping for the moment as well. As these Stalkers start to trade out a little bit, the units of Skillous do get pushed away. We've got a Phoenix, so obviously that can lift a Stalker and help you play catch-up, and we get a kill because of it. Loses the Phoenix, but hey, what was that really going to do from this point on? Maybe chase down a Prism at some point. I don't hate him grabbing a Stalker off it.
Yeah, I totally agree there. 2 DTs warping in, but I honestly think the Observers are going to be timing out perfectly to defend the natural, and that's the main thing, is if DT's getting your main and your natural, that's a problem. Like, if you just have to pull your probes away from your third for a few seconds, not the end of the world. Probably will lose a couple of guys, but let's see how quick that Observer actually starts. Oh, it's an Immortal first! Oh, never mind. DTs are going to have a party, Wardy.
Yes, they are. Running forwards right now. It's important for Skillous to see this ASAP. The first DT is going to swipe. And that is going to be the realization that you got to pull these probes. This is maybe still not too bad. Hold position these Stalkers here. DT can't get in, and this is more or less just what you were talking about with a few extra steps of you had to pull some probes, but you're not really going to lose too much. The Obs is about to pop, and the DT does not respecting the Robo being there. So one DT down, and the other is backing off and just still chilling on the third, I guess. Got one more probe kill, but this really wasn't so bad at all for Skillous. Yet.
DT runs in the natural right past the Observer Skillous. Uh-oh, caught sleeping. That was a big mistake. He had the Observer right there, but he wasn't watching. I think you can tell his adrenaline's peaking a little bit here, getting surprised by the DTs, and I think kicking himself for not being ready for it. He was convinced it was going to be a blink timing. I do like that he's blocking the Dark Temper on the third with hold position, and does clean that up finally. Cannon will clean up the one in the main. At the end of the day, 3 DTs go down. He doesn't actually lose that many probes on mining time. It is going to be an okay situation. On the other hand, I don't think there's much of a lead, if any, for Skillous anymore. Feels like it's a rather even game. I guess usually at this point you want to look at the infrastructure, and it is 4 gates versus 5 in Skillous's favor, but 2 more building. So Krystianer's going to be, you know, kind of catching up in that regard. He's only down a few probes. Stalker counts very similar between the 2 players. It's a slight advantage for Skillous. His upgrades, though, that's where he's miles ahead.
These Stalkers get to come in, knock down a battery. Yeah, that +1 and on the way to +2. So you'll maintain a good upgrade lead throughout this game. And that's definitely going to be the one big advantage he holds. Another DT getting caught without doing anything at all. So the defense is getting a bit more, well, perfected around the edges here as Skillous basically getting a lot tidier. Just clearing up DTs before much happens of them. There's a probe here that's going to get caught. And actually all the setup on this right side might start getting taken down. I mean, Krystianer does have Stalkers nearby. So Skillous actually going to have to work his way away. He's actually just blinking back when so he's going to try and blink trade this. But he has way less Stalkers. He needs to be careful. You know, he's got that +1 difference. But as reinforcements come in, Skillous is getting completely outnumbered. Now he gets blinked on. I just don't know what he saw in this fight that looked good for him at all.
Yeah, I don't know where his screen was centered exactly, but I'm with you, Wardy. Being able to see everything that we could see, I was like, that's just a huge concave of Stalkers. And it just looked like more blue stuff than red stuff. So bad fight for Skillous. He's now down 1,000 resources and the units lost. He's still got the upgrade advantage as +1's about to kick in for Krystianer. +2 will be kicking in for Skillous. But Skillous has kind of got to play like a runaround game at this point. He can't fight front on. He could defend front on, but he's not choosing to, and Krystianer's going across the map. This is going to cause him problems.
Yep. He is indeed. He's just going to go jumping in. As we have Stalker's just going to come jumping onto this base. I mean, this is bad. Obviously, Skillous is going to try and initiate the base trade. As we do see the jump on the other side. He's going to come in, knock down the pylons, knock down the Robo facility power. Obs does get out, though. As we are going to be seeing these Stalkers continue to trade. Obviously, Obs is very important because you want that detection against the DTs.
Yeah, well, there's no Dark Shrine for Skillous, though, so it is going to be okay. Zealots in the main base. I mean, it just feels like there's such a head start for Krystianer on this. He's got such a good position. Probes are getting out. The third base is still mining for SKillous right now. The production going down. You want to usually get rid of that Dark Shrine as early as possible, not to mention the Nexus because of the recall. Probes for SKillous are across the map, as are Krystianer. Right now, Krystianer has, what was that, like 11 army supply advantage. That's pretty big. Upgrade advantage still goes to SKillous though, but the 5 Stalker advantage will be massive. Now, both sides have a War Prism. They're both cleaning anything up that they can. SKillous does have way more probes alive currently, but not necessarily for that much longer.
Yeah, those probes nibbling up that Nexus. Yeah, probe count is obviously decent for SKillous, but can he make use of that at all? Again, right now, using his probes to actually fight and try and clean up. As you have the, again, army continue to move around. Not the thing really in production here is Krystianer does have money to spend, so he can get more structures started, and he does start his own Nexus, so both players will have a Nexus on the way. It's still that 68 to 79 army supply you mentioned before. Just SKillous does have the upgrade advantage. Krystianer has Guardian Shield possibility though, so this is really going to come down to the engagement and how these two fight. As Krystianer has way less probes, so maybe does feel a bit more pressure to make the fight in. If that's the case, that could actually be pretty rough for him attacking up a ramp or so. Could be a little bit nasty.
Big probe advantage for SKillous, but only one Nexus to mine from. Oh, he's going to try and defend here. Going for it. Big shove for Krystianer. Oh my lord, that's crazy. Oh wow, big fight. Not all the probes are fighting right now for SKillous. Pretty good blink micro, but dude, the Guardian Shield more than making up for that +2 advantage. These probes are attacking the rocks. These probes are attacking the rocks for the entire fight for SKillous. That's why they weren't tanking. They weren't doing anything. SKillous recalls other probes from across the map, but oh, that's so much tanking that he missed out on. He still might win this fight, and indeed he does. But dude, oh, I was like, what is happening? How are you winning a fight by blinking up a ramp into 40 probes, which Stalkers suck against? And then I realized the probes weren't getting targeted because they'd all been told to attack the rocks. Well, half of them had, the other half were just sitting there. Dicey, but SKillous does come out on top.
I don't know how SKillous won this fight, actually. Like, everything about it seemed really bad. Like, the fight itself, initially, it's like, well, surely this is terrible for Krystianer. But every part of how it went down seemed terrible. The probes were nibbling the rocks. The Stalkers on the top side were just constantly stood there. Like, half of them were just not able to attack. I say half. There was, like, 5 fighting, and then there was, like, 12, like, derping behind. It looked horrible for SKillous when it came to actually what was fighting and what was shooting, but it was just that bad of an idea for Krystianer that it still worked out for SKillous. Now, that bad of an idea in terms of what it was that he had to do, but at the end of the day, what choice did he have? He was down a lot of probes. If they go to kind of rebuild versus rebuild, I think he recognizes that and just realizes that maybe he does just have to send it there, because otherwise SKillous is going to be a little bit further ahead on reproducing, rebuilding, and getting reset in general. Absolutely.
That was a wild turn there. SKillous, I think, gave up a bit of advantage when he took that big blink fight. So that's something where you got to be a little more cautious with those blink engagements. Race. Okay, all good. SKillous was tearing for a second, but he's fixed it up.
Beautiful. Good to know. We're not going to have a sudden switch to Terran after winning the map in PvP. As we get going into game number 2 on Oceanborn. And get this underway.
He says, yes, I'm playing Toss Problems. There's no problem. I said it exactly as he swapped to Protoss there. I'm not questioning. I'm like, dude, you barely won that. It's time to change race now and style on your opponent. Like, come on. No. We should be all good here as we go into this next map. It's going to be Oceanborn, a map we've watched a lot of over the last few days. And I'm not sure which one of these players is favored on it because it's a mirror matchup. Down to the bottom right side. That was a good game before. Let's see if he can do it again. It's SKillous.
In the top left-hand side is going to be our blue Protoss, Krystianer.
Good harassment and pressure from SKillous. He was a bit more of the mobile game. Adepts, Oracles dancing around for the early game and keeping the pressure up, which I think is the optimal way to play it. I don't really know. I haven't seen that much of Krystianer's play, but it does feel like he's very asymmetric player, looking for like advantage by indifference to his opponent. Doesn't just do the standard dance with them. So, like, I'm not saying he just turtles and defends, but I'm saying, like, if his opponent's being really aggressive, he might just be very defensive and play a slower style. But if they're being very greedy, he might play, like, a very sharp all-in. Feels like he's kind of looking to create that difference. Very rarely will he be like, oh, you're playing Phoenix, I'll play Phoenix War with you. You're playing Blink, I'll play just straight Blink War with you. He's looking for edges wherever he can. And I do like that. It speaks to a player who's maybe a little more strategic in their focus rather than just execution.
Yeah. And we do have the probe on this right side, by the way. Krystianer and SKillous are in the same position on each side of the map, building the proxy pylon. Now, is this going to be useful? Well, it looks as though we're not going to keep the probe nearby as SKillous. He's going to move it away, but Krystianer does keep his probe next to it for a little bit longer. Moves it away now. So maybe a little bit more suggestive that there's a possibility of doing something. We'll see now, neither of them have a probe nearby, so looks as though we're just hiding that pylon, making it look like a proxy when it will not be. And Krystianer is looping back around, so maybe he still does have some proxy potential in him. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, both sides hiding right now, and you know, we could scout the opponent's base or we could scout the map, and actually SKillous is going to see that probe coming from this corner, and he's going to look for it. But he's actually gone in the wrong direction so far. I think he will find it, though, as he's queuing up a nice little path. Double Stalker up against the Stalker Sentry of SKillous. So SKillous wants to expand, whereas it looks like Krystianer wants to potentially be more aggressive. Got a probe looking out there for proxies as well. Both players really looking for proxies on this map. Fascinating. Looks like there's a bit of a cheesy meta on this map between the two.
Yeah, it would seem like it, right? That is going to be the dead probe trying to move up, and we will expand on both sides. So I guess just a case of they want to expand, and so if they both want to expand, they both just want to make sure that they're going to expand safely, make sure they're not actually going to be in trouble, make sure they actually can get away with that expansion. There's a couple Stalkers continuing down the bottom right. And again, just going to have a Twilight Council building up on the side of Krystianer. Nexus is on the way, and we're waiting on the tech here of SKillous to be decided. It's very centric heavy, that's why he's not got as much gas.
Yeah, this Twilight comes down later, but he's going to have way better scouting. Only a single sentry. So Krystianer is like, I'm going to scout every now and then. And SKillous is like, I will see everything at all times, you know? He's going to have that third eye open on his forehead. The three-eyed Raven's going to give him a little pecky peck, and he's going to see the past, the present, and the future. Krystianer's, on the other hand, just like, I'm going to have Blink earlier and more Stalkers so I can actually just be more aggressive. And I really like that.
Yeah. I think like the Blink just gives you so much good mobility as well, as Krystianer gets the pylon, but he is going to potentially lose these two Stalkers. We can, of course, get to the corner and maybe try and recall. That's exactly what he's going to do right now. We're going to lose one, so one Stalker dead. Nice for SKillous just to guarantee that shot and the pick-off. And yeah, still nice for SKillous. He hasn't cleaned out the pylon of his opponent, but yeah, I mean, obviously killing a Stalker is pretty decent.
Phoenixes going out there and scouting. Hallucinated Phoenixes, of course. Robo does go down for both sides. They're both being very cautious right now as the Phoenix go in, and they do scout pretty much everything. Seeing a Robo, usually a sign of defense after Blink, a more kind of well-rounded, I'm going to make sure I don't get caught out by anything option. Seeing that, they're both going to go, oh, you're playing defensive? I want to get a third. So both going to go for a third base at the same moment.
Mirrored.
It's a proper mirror matchup, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say properly mirrored PvP. As we get the three bases up and online, not just mirrored PvP, but kind of like macro mirror PvP. We're actually going to see both of these guys get to develop into a bit of a longer game, into something a little bit cooler. I'm a big fan of this. I like it.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the finest Protoss of them all? Dude, I love that. Oh, I never thought of that from SKillous. He's like, I want to check the corners, but I don't want to risk sending Stalkers out. Let's hallucinate probes because you get 4 for the cost of 1 hallucination. And you get all this map control. You get to like check the corners, scout all over. That's adorable. I've only ever really used that for setting off Widow Mines once or twice. Like, you know, there's a bunch of Widow Mines. You're like, this is too annoying. Let's just make a bunch of fake probes and send them in spread out.
I've actually seen a few players doing it recently in PvT, trying to find Terran armies. When they're like not sure which direction the Terran army's coming from, so you just send like 3 hallucination probes different directions. I can't remember who. I want to say Showtime or Hero. Like those are the guys who have been thinking. But yeah, it's been one of those kind of newer things. Whoa, aggression from Krystianer as SKillous. He gets a couple extra force fields out. He only loses 1 sentry. And a Stalker there, so actually not even the Stalker, it's just one sentry. That could have been way worse.
Yeah, I thought he was going to lose a bunch of stuff there. Oh, Glaives? What? No, that doesn't make any sense. It's way too late to go Glaives. It's got to be a misclick for Skillous. It should be charged right now. There is no reason to go Glaives at this point in the game.
I feel like we said this yesterday about Skillous against Maxpax. It's like, it's way too late to go Glaives. And he just went Glaives. So back then I thought it was like kind of a desperation thing, but now I feel like he just sort of believes in this.
He lived with Tevin, or he was living in the Netherlands for a while near Roddy. So for those who don't know, if you live near Roddy for too long, you start doing weird stuff. Like things, ideas get in your head. You start thinking Phoenix are better than they are. You start thinking Glaives is just to upgrade your harassment adepts. That's actually something I'm pretty sure Kev does. So I don't know, maybe he whispered in Nikita's ear. He's like, you know, those adepts, normally they kill 4 or 5 probes. They can kill 6 or 7, sometimes 8 or 9 if they've got Glaives. And it is a cheap upgrade. So if you didn't need charge then, 100 mils, 100 gas, I don't mind it. It's just if you go mass adept in your army right now with Glaives, that's when I'm like, oh, not good, not good, not good. Because their stats just aren't good enough.
Well, we have a just gonna come in, gonna get blinked on, gonna get chased away. Let's just see our Immortal in charge and +1 all coming through from Krystianer. A few extra gateways coming up as well. And you obviously just have, I mean, to be fair, the first round's of Zealots coming in and then there's Glaives Adept showing up. I mean, the potential is there for Skillous to do something, but what's crazy to me is the 4th base coming online. Like, this is not really a timing. So if it is, like, he could have had more units with it. I mean, this is getting very strange.
I don't mind the Stalkers being here. It's kind of scary with the sentries, though, right? He's got Immortal, so if you can force field out the Immortal Sentry Zealot of Krystianer, then I feel like maybe you can just deny the 4th, force field him out, get out of there. If you can kill the 4th, I mean, this is super worth. It's a risky move, but Skillous has been doing risky moves so far in this series, and it's worked out for him. And look at that. Just having forward position and then disengaging would be great here. It feels like he wants to keep engaging, though. That's very scary.
Couple force fields as we are going to be seeing Skillous trying to get another 1 or 2 back, but just blinks away from Krystianer, and Skillous is going to be stuck down this ramp. He's going to knock the rocks down to give himself a pathway out of here, and he's just going to back it up. +2 is already halfway done. Charge now on the way. This is just going to be him deciding to disengage.
+2, Immortals charge, and that 4th base all coming up for Skillous. I like the disengage. I mean, honestly, what did we see in Goblin series as well? Being crazy aggressive in your opponent's face, confident, even when you're down in army, it can actually net you big benefits in this matchup as long as you don't get caught, right? And that's something in StarCraft in general is greed is only greed if it gets punished. That's something someone told me when I was first getting into StarCraft 2, and it kind of wrinkled my brain a little bit and stuck with me. And I think it's true. I mean, it's if you get away with it, it's kind of just good play. So the litmus test, as always, is does it work? Down there, they're trying to push up a ramp. Not going to work. Even though the army's way better for Krystianer right now, this army is there's no Archons, there's no disruptors for Skillous. I feel like Skillous is in trouble. The Glaive Adepts, though. Roddy right there is very excited. He's like, yes, look at that, plus 45% attack speed. Does make a big difference, but are you able to defend at home? No Archons. Oh, this is going to be hard against that Zealot count. It's taking a good micro for Skillous. He's got a good Immortal Ball, though. He's got good positioning as well. A force field to trap the enemy Immortals would be great. He goes after the Prism, but doesn't get it. Oh, great micro by Krystianer. Keeps that alive. He's got the Immortal Archon Ball up, looking great. The Immortals do come down the ramp. The battery overcharge on that right side, not really doing all that much. The Adepts are warping. He's actually using Adepts as a combat unit. The Mad Lad
gets the Prism. I mean, honestly, Adepts right now are good to clean up the Zealots, no? Yep. The one Archon of your opponent is the big problem for the Adepts, but that's going to go down now, and your Adepts can be the front line. They do melt those Zealots, and that's where Skillous is honestly turning this around. He does have +2 to +1, remember, and he is also going to have the better Immortal count now. At the very end of this, Skillous will chase Krystianer off, and the Zealot flank on these Stalkers as well to get the catch, forced another blink, and he's going to be on the hunt going across the map now.
I don't know where Skillous went, because all I see right now is some skillful Protoss play, Wardy.
Yeah, he's all set, bro. He's going to swoop in a whole bunch more Stalkers. 4 Mortals still here, and that is just absolutely huge. A couple of Archons do morph in, and that's going to help a big way for Krystianer, actually. So that's going to be very nice. We need these Immortals to be able to join the fight. Skillous getting a little bit choked up on himself as the army moves forward from Krystianer. Then those Immortals get to join in once more. Upgrades are now even as well as a couple more Adepts just getting cleaned out. We do see a Zealot warp in from Skillous. That's the choice. He blinks to the side, gonna let the Immortals put in the work, and he is gonna get the cleanup to close this game out. Skillous Gonna take the 2-0 lead.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know what? It's a 2-for-1 deal. I'm convinced. The Adepts are good to sprinkle in if you're happy to play that more long-range army, a bit more kind of like try to keep your opponent at arm's length. You're kind of blinking back, using force fields. Having some Adepts sprinkled in, not a bad move just to help clean their Zealots. Especially if you're kind of like playing that army. Archons don't mesh with it as well because they're chunky boys that go up front and kind of get focused down. I mean, Archons can still be useful in the back of your army, but yeah, like it gives you that advantage, and you get to harass with the glaives. It's not too bad. I don't mind it. It's definitely a different flavor, but it does get me a little bit excited. You know, I remember in the very early days of Legacy, we used to think you couldn't play charge zealots with disruptors because they'd run into the disruptor shots because we were bad. So everyone went Adepts for a while when we first discovered how good the disruptor was. We're like, yeah, you go Adepts with it because they're ranged attack, and then you shoot the disruptors in front. Then we realized zealots were just way better in terms of raw stats, especially against Terran. But it's cool to see, like, hey, this can actually be mixed in, especially in this PvP matchup.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a cool idea. And I mean, I was kind of waiting for him to warp some in because, like, I actually think it's the only way he's getting rid of those zealots. And if you've got it, then make use of it. So that paid off for him as GLHF is called from the referee, which means we're officially allowed to begin. It is in the rulebook. I think you can't start until the referee gives you the GLHF. So, and now go into game 3, Crimson Court for our third map. We're seeing all of the same maps again and again, aren't we? Like, we saw Amphion one time today, and otherwise it's just Crimson, Oceanborn, Golden Aura. These maps, man.
It's always Oceanborn, Crimson Court. Yeah, there's a few maps, man. I want to see a bit more of that, you know, winner chicken dynasty dinner. That chicken din. It's been missing in action. We saw one game yesterday, I think, on it, but need a bit more of that, bit more variety, pro gamers. Stop being so weird with your vetoes. Anyways, down here in the bottom left side, looking for that 3-0. It is SKillous for Team Liquid.
Top right, our blue Protoss is Krystianer.
So it's funny as well because, like, so for those who don't know, Zealots have a much higher attack speed than Adepts, and I'm pretty sure it's still faster than a Glaive Adept significantly. Problem is it's melee, right? Disadvantage of the Adept, though, is it has only 140 total hit points and shields, and a lot more of it is shields, which you might think is good because it regenerates out of combat, but it's worse because it doesn't have the base armor applied to it that the Life does. And in a pitched battle, that's what really matters, right? So the Zealot is a little tankier, 100 hit points rather than just 70, I think it is. I think in Adept's like 70, right? 70 hit points, 70 shields. So Zealot's 100, so 30 extra hit points. It does way more damage when it's left to just attack, but it's a melee unit. They get kind of stuck behind each other, they have to charge in. And unless it's like a big army of Zealots swarming in from multiple sides, the Adepts obviously can kind of ball up and chunk together with the Stalkers and actually do pretty well. So there's a decent argument behind that. Usually we would see Glaives for like a big Adept all-in push with like mass Adepts, and that's definitely not effective. It's not good, right? That's why I was like, please don't do that, because that would have been wild how late it would have hit. But definitely mixing in some Adepts and using them for harass. Not a bad little addition to the matchup, and I like SKillous doing that.
It's just interesting to see if it brings it out again during this series, just because I do feel like there was one game against MaxPax yesterday where it was a similar idea, we just never got to see it really look good. So let's see if it is something he's going to stand by over the course of multiple games. This game is going to be Adepts on Adepts to open up with here. Krystianer is just going to see if he can match SKillous absolutely and completely. As the blockage goes down the low ground, Stargate is coming through. And we're waiting for SKillous' tech to, show us if it was going to be the same thing. It's the Stargate as well. So Stargate on Stargate, Pig. It's going to be a little interesting once again early game.
Yeah, let's see both players shade Oracles and Adepts into each other's bases at the same time, and every single worker to die. And then the player with 6 probes versus the other player with 1 probe left will win. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping like the Adepts miss each other somehow on the map, you know. Game gets super chaotic and crazy, but so far SKillous is pinning him back with the pylon. Being a proper nuisance here. He's coming back in for yet another block. Oh my gosh, he's being a proper nuisance. His own Adepts are there already on the front trying to shade in, but the shield battery has been keeping them out. And Phoenix for Krystianer. Meanwhile, we haven't seen that Stargate make a decision just yet for SKillous. It's just finished, and it's Oracle. So yeah, way more harassment focused for SKillous. He's been more in his face as well. And actually, no, he cancels the Oracle and makes a Phoenix. Good call.
Alrighty, Phoenix it is, and it's going to be Phoenix on Phoenix for the foreseeable future. We'll see if any player wants to dive out of this, or if we do see like just a proper Phoenix versus Phoenix PvP game within this PvP. It's something not everyone loves to play. I mean, I don't know if anyone loves to play it, but MaxBax and Showtime really embrace these kind of games. The other guys in Europe, I don't feel like embrace it as much, but sometimes you do just have to play into it, right? If that's what you're both sent into, generally the best option is to just keep building Phoenix against those Phoenix, and that means that you never get to stop.
Yeah. I mean, I always hear that Red Hot Chili Pepper song, can't stop addicted to the shindig. But in this case, the shindig just involves a bunch of the same unit massing up, both of you being afraid to fight, and then one player surprising you with DTs and the game suddenly being over. Phoenix Wars are definitely not the favorite to watch for most of the fans, but so far this one's been a bit more dynamic in the early game. 2 probes go down, one of the adepts does, oh actually they all died, didn't they? 3 adepts going down, it's pretty bad for Krystianer. 3 Phoenix are up, but it seems like SKillous is stopping there, which means we should be seeing, oh, he's just going to go very aggressive, doesn't even have a Twilight. He's probing behind it, but he's going to go for a good solid push.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got the ground units, and he did have a slight unit advantage, but I don't know if that's enough to come across the map and really try and fight with. We're going to send those adepts up the high ground, and they are into the base. That's a problem.
Phoenix there.
Yeah, well, the Phoenix,
it's like, is it a problem? Not when Phoenix can disable them, you know? In any other situation, it would be, but not there. He's real paranoid about DTs. That's what part of why he counter pushed. He actually cancels his Robo and makes a Twilight. So SKillous is kind of like, oh man, my Nexus is so late. This game's really awkward. I don't think he realizes he's actually up 4 probes and kind of like ahead on the tech as well. Whereas Krystianer is just like building Phoenix and he's on a basic set of a couple Stalkers and Adepts. I think this position is amazing for SKillous. It's just, does he realize? Well, I mean, he's got a battery and a bunch of Stalkers. He looks pretty safe. I think he's A-okay here.
Phoenix moving forwards. Yeah, I think he's going to be all right. I mean, if you get enough Stalkers up, that's going to be the answer to the potential problems. We do have a Sentry or 2 as well, so we can use those to help. And don't forget, of course, he obviously still has his own Phoenix, which can, with a battery, kind of stay alive a little bit, and then it gives you time to kind of work through the Phoenix of your opponent, and it looks absolutely fine for SKillous. He's up by 6 workers. Stalkers in the main going to be able to take this fight, and that's going to be 1 Phoenix killed for nothing lost, or maybe a probe loss, but I mean, the important part here is SKillous is that you're surviving through what is the heavier Phoenix count. You have so far done good, and to be fair, Krystianer has been kind of moving out of it, heading into the Robo for himself, and obviously that's going to be a Robo versus Blink play.
Yeah, Twilight Robo coming up behind it for Krystianer. I'd like to see a 3rd for him, honestly. It's hard to make that transition, but I feel like he's got to do something a little bit greedy here to catch back up. He's going to have the Phoenix to make it awkward for SKillous. SKillous now going to move out to take a 3rd. A shame the Phoenix aren't there to pick that up.
As the Nexus drops down on the 3rd base triangular, so SKillous is just going to have himself those 3 bases, and again, Blink is getting so close to being done. The longer this goes, the less impactful these Phoenix seem to be. We're actually adding on another Phoenix here as Krystianer. This is, I don't love it because I just don't see them really being able to do enough or being that impactful. Even if you get to a lot of them now, you've kind of let SKillous get away with getting to like a whole mass of Blink Stalkers. Like, it just shouldn't feel as though you should be still building the Phoenix.
Yeah, this is interesting. Forge is halfway done. Templar Archives comes down. SKillous is probing still, getting observers. Seems like he's really rounding his playstyle out. Krystianer, on the other hand, is like, I'm going to build a Nexus, but I ain't probing. Now I'm probing, but only a little bit. I can't afford a Forge. I think this happens sometimes when you're on the back foot and you kind of feel a bit behind. You feel like the game's a bit scrappy. And your opponent kind of slowly eases back into the macro game, which is what SKillous is doing now, out of that crazy aggressive early stage. And you're just like kind of half a step behind on probes, thinking there's no room to go a Forge, thinking, you know, oh, I got to stay on just Zealot Stalker. But the tech's rounding out, your opponent's getting further and further ahead. So it's, I think you need to kind of throw your whole lot in one direction as Krystianer. And he's not really doing that. He's kind of half pressuring, half probing, half expanding. But he needs to go, I think, really committed in just one direction to really make this work.
Tries to poke up this ramp, but the defense is going to be way too good. Triple battery. SKillous knows very much so that he can seemingly just get away with kind of continuing to set up as you see this Phoenix into the main base. A few Stalkers will start to chase those down, try and get rid of a couple, as obviously this is a dive for a bunch of probes. He's only gotten 4 so far, now going to get a few extra. As 4 Stalkers are not exactly the best answer. It took a long time for him to decide to blink the rest of the Stalkers up. Now we're going to have Zealots in the natural as well. This is also where SKillous still has his Phoenix, so as he takes some probe losses, he's dropping behind an army supply. Obviously he does have other tech coming up, and he is going to deny the Phoenix. It is very much so kind of anyone's game, but everything that there is for SKillous looks a lot better.
Yeah, those Zealots kind of derped out there, didn't actually commit. He does recall most of them. Krystianer has the economy advantage now, though, so I think that was really important to trade a few Phoenix, because he really didn't need so many to do so much probe damage, and now try to keep them alive. Don't lose them, because if you can, you know, get back in later and keep picking off probes, that they will really pay so much dividends in the long term. SKillous, on the other hand, a little slow to re-probe up. I feel like in these sort of low economy games, whoever gets an earlier 4th and earlier 5th base gets extra payoff from them. The reason is the naturals are going to lose half of the mineral patch mining in about, you know, 2 or 3 minutes. I guess their Nexi were a bit late this game, so maybe 3 or 4 minutes. But, you know, because there's been so much mining happening, and like the main is going to be mining out in a little while. It's already half mined out. Phoenix getting some good pickoffs. Krystianer's back in this game economically at the very least. His upgrades have not started. That's where he's still way behind, but building a ball of Immortal Arc on a high quality army can sometimes make up for the upgrade deficit.
Yeah, it's these Phoenix getting so much value. I'm almost surprised that SKillous hadn't had like better defense set up, but he is going to be across the map, so he's just going to push onto the 3rd. I don't know if Krystianer can really get here to defend this. He's only mined out one path of the gold minerals, so it's going to take a long time for his army to move here. He's got no idea that SKillous is right here, so this is 3rd base going to go down, and this is going to be very costly. Super battery falls. I mean, this is a horrible position, surely, as the army tries to move through. We lift up the Immortal in the background as well, and this is just going to be SKillous fully sending it in. Does he have enough? Because he was on the numbers deficit going into this fight. Here come the Phoenix coming back to try and help out. We'll send our own Phoenix onto them. We will start to drop a couple, but I don't know if it's enough. In the end, it looks like Krystianer might just have the numbers, no matter what, to close this one out and to take a map in the series.
He just had so much more stuff, right, in that army. So even though it felt like he was a bit too slow to macro, he had the Phoenix advantage. He used it really well. He pressured on the ground with it. Great multi-prong into that macro, and even though SKillous is like, I have +2, you don't even have an upgrade started. You know, it's that attack there just felt a bit forced after taking all that harassment damage. SKillous needed to really just slow the game down, turtle up, and defend those Phoenix a little bit better, but Phoenix found their way in, and that purple base will be going down. The Immortal Archon of Krystianer looking very powerful. His own +1 is 3/4 of the way finished here, and he's not got a 4th base. Oh, his 3rd even takes a lot of damage from his Zealot run by.
Yeah, taking a lot of shots. His economy is going to be shattered. I mean, this is just a numbers game. Can the super batteries and cannons put in enough work here? Maybe if there was some more tech units. The fact it's just baseline Zealot Stalker kind of doesn't make me think, but the +2 is putting in work. You're kidding me? We're going to get the Prism as well? Oh, there's no way.
Massive 2 cannons, 3 batteries overcharge, and Krystianer tried to click half of his army on the battery, and they couldn't reach. They were blocked, so they were derping for a little bit. He then changed targets, which means he damaged the battery, didn't kill it. And oh my lord, SKillous. I just punches his way out of the grave with the power of static defense, good positioning, and Krystianer overcommitting. The Zealot run by, I think, distracted him big time. And that very quickly turned around from what looked like a very Krystianer-favored situation to the complete opposite direction.
That was